If you're anything like me, you love those guacamole cups. You know what I'm talking about. They're so easy to spread over toast, but they are super expensive, especially when avocados are so expensive. So I like to make it myself. I freeze it, and then the night before, when I know I'm gonna be using it, I'll take 1 or 2 out, depending on how much toast I'm making, and pop them in the fridge. I can't wait to show you guys how to make them, so let's get started. So I'm ready to process all of my avocados that I bought from Aldi. They were only 79 cents, so I got quite a bit. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to mash these and make kind of like a classic guacamole that I can have just to pop out from the freezer. It can go on toast and it's still great with chips. Let's get started. Since we have so many avocados, I'm gonna wash them all and prep them all at once. If any are too hard, I'm gonna put the ones that are still firm and not ready in the fridge. They will last a little bit longer that way, and if I leave them out, they won't last too long. It's like the next day they're ready to use and I will have a ton of guacamole. What I'm gonna do is make this classic guacamole, put it in a little freezer container, and then we can just pop them out as needed. I'll show you how we do that. Just use a little bit of veggie wash. So I just use a little bit of Dr. Bronner's soap, which is safe for fruits and vegetables and a ton of other uses. And I dilute it with a ton of water, and I like to use that as a fruit and vegetable wash. And I just put it in a little spray bottle, just like one of these. Super simple. And I like to use bottled or filtered water. So I'm gonna continue washing all of these avocados and then we'll prep them. I'm not taking the stickers off because there's so many. I'll just make sure I cut away from the sticker because we're not gonna be touching that skin. But avocados should definitely be washed. They're harboring bacteria on the outside, so let's wash those. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut them open and then mash them in a bowl, but first I'm gonna process all of them. I had to do it in batches because I have so many. So let's get started. We just wanna take this little seed part off, the little pit on top. I don't want that in my guacamole. I don't know if you've ever had it in your guacamole from some places. I'm not gonna name names. I've had it in mine and I don't like that. So we're gonna carefully hold the avocado. If you're not careful holding the avocado, you could cut yourself. So if you're more comfortable doing this on a cutting board, please do so. And then we're just gonna split it open. Beautiful. Sorry, it's very sunny here today. Beautiful avocado. And a beautiful sunlight, kind of a little harsh in my face right now actually. And then we're just gonna scoop it out with a flat spoon. So if your spoons are a little bit thicker, you wanna make sure you use a thinner one. A thicker one will work, but you may mush your avocado a little bit too much. And then I like to give it a little gentle squeeze and kind of go in. I know that you said you could pop it through, but I never have had luck with that. And I'm mashing this anyway, so I'm just gonna manhandle it a little bit more. That's fine. So since I'm using this for mashing, I didn't mind doing that. And then I'm just gonna put all of this in the bowl. Hopefully another one will cooperate a little bit more. And then we're gonna put that pit to the side with the skin and then go to the next one. And then we're gonna remove that top portion again. I like to get them with that little pit on top because I can make sure that there's no oxygen getting in here, because once there's airflow in here, that leaves room for air to make this all rot. We don't want to open a banana and see it browning. It's very similar with an avocado. And I have a really in-depth tutorial on my produce site, Know Your Produce, on how to pick out avocados. If you haven't seen that, I can link that below. Rotate. Oh, beautiful. It's just too sunny. This pit should come out a little bit easier. There we go. These are a little firmer than I'd like, but that's totally fine because I'm making guacamole. And then I'm just gonna keep removing that part. See how beautiful it is in there? Beautiful every time. Unless you let them sit too long, then they will go bad because they'll get soft and then that seal will kind of break. But these were just purchased on Tuesday and today is Thursday. Oh my gosh, that sun! Let's see if we can get this one to do it. A little bit. They're still a little too firm, but I need to make this guacamole for the freezer. And I also want to keep some in the fridge. I was spending way too much on those cups. I have to be honest with myself. I was probably spending about $30 to $40 a month on guacamole cups because they were just easy to grab and go for the mornings. And that is not very affordable for anybody. My hands are a little slippery because they're wet. Just a beautiful avocado every single time. A few aren't quite ready, so I'll put those in the fridge. As long as they give under pressure a little bit, they're fine for guacamole. Beautiful. Oh my goodness, this one's amazing. They're all perfect. I got really lucky. This is what you get when you don't have the little pit on top sometimes, and it's just gross. You can cut around that, but this one's a little too much for me. Now for this, I'm going to mash this up with just a few simple ingredients. I'm not going to use any jalapeno peppers. I feel like they can get a little bit waterlogged when you use those, but if you want, you could. I'm just going to be using some simple ingredients from the pantry, like vinegar, and we're going to eyeball it here. We're not going to go within too much. I just want enough to make it have a little bit of a tang. And then we're going to go in with 3 simple seasonings, which is onion, garlic, and salt. I'm using granulated garlic and granulated onion. Salt, you could use kosher salt or regular salt. I prefer to use regular salt. It's a little bit smaller in the granular size, and I feel like it melts well with the avocado since we're freezing it. I like to go a little bit heavier on the onion powder than the garlic powder. And then for the salt, I'm gonna be using just regular table salt. I like to use kosher salt for cooking. And then we're just gonna go ahead and mash it. I'm using a potato masher, but I just call this my masher at this point because I barely use it for just potatoes. I use it for egg salad, I use it for guacamole, I use it for meat. So there's a lot of uses for a potato masher, not just potatoes. And we're just gonna mash it until it's a nice consistency. Now you could also use a food processor, but I like a little bit of chunks in my guacamole. I think I may add a little bit more distilled vinegar. We're going by eye here, so you could add as much as you like or as little as you like. You could also use some lime juice, but the brand that we use, the ones that I would buy the cups of, they used vinegar, so we're gonna try doing vinegar. I usually do lime juice. I like these little tasting spoons. They are perfect for things like this. I think I'm gonna add a little bit more vinegar. Splash. And then I'm gonna add a little bit more salt. And then we're just gonna mash that together again. I think I even saw them say they use water. Did it say water? Go in with like a tablespoon. Maybe a little more. There we go. And by using the water, I can thin the consistency without using too much acidity from the vinegar. Perfect. Oh, that is looking great. Can you see that? That looks perfect. I'm gonna get another spoon and give it a taste. When tasting something like this, I always recommend doing it with a spoon, not a chip, because the chip has a lot of salt on it and we wanna taste for salt right now. Oh my gosh, perfect. So to portion this, I'm gonna be using a cookie tray from Super Cubes. This is made for cookies, but you could use it for so many more things. Like this is perfect. I could pop one out and put it onto my toast. So I'm just gonna use a little rubber spatula and take a little bit out. You could use a spoon if you prefer. And we're gonna make sure we get it all in there. I don't wanna overfill it, but I don't wanna underfill it either. We're just gonna go in here like that. Perfect. And then we can clean it up as we go if needed. Sometimes I'll even take a few of these out, thin it out, add some honey, a little lime juice, and it makes a delicious dressing for my salad. Or like tacos, so good. Like a sauce. place on the lid. It has enough airspace that you don't have to worry about smashing it too much, so don't push it up. Let it relax. Let's get started on another one. Now you could use a spoon if you prefer, but this actually helps you measure it a little bit too. You don't want to fill the cookie scoop all the way because it would be just too much. But since it's made for cookies, and then I'm gonna tap this down. Perfect. I'm gonna take a little spatula and fix this part right here. Gonna sweep around. And then I have 2 more to fill, and then I should have enough for the freezer. And what I like is once it's frozen, I can take it out and put it right into like a stasher bag. I don't have to keep it in these, but you could also keep it in this container, or even put it in another container that's freezer safe. Whatever your preference is. I like using stasher bags because I could just use one bag for all of them. But if you prefer to keep it in here, that's totally fine too. I'm actually really excited. We have enough for the fridge. And since we have the vinegar in there, that will prevent the browning from oxidation, so there's no worries there. This is what I love about Super Cubes. They're so thoughtful that they have the Super Cubes lid even fit the cookie tray lids and vice versa. Now I'm gonna place these in the freezer and then we'll pop them out once they're frozen. And then I'm gonna take out my masher. Now avocado sticks really well to things and it'll harden and really be difficult to get off. What I'm gonna do is soak this in the sink and rinse it as much as I can. So while that's soaking, I'm gonna take care of this first because I wanna get this in the fridge. We're just gonna scrape down the bowl, get every last bit of that guacamole out. And this will be perfect for toast this week. And then I can save those ones in the freezer. I think my container might be a little too small. So let's go get a little bit bigger. Okay, so we just sized up a little bit. We're gonna put our guacamole right on in. And I like to size down every time. If I use enough of this, I'll size down to that smaller container because I want there to be less airspace because air and avocados just don't mix. I'm gonna spread this out. And now it's ready for when I need it. There we go, perfect. Clean that a little bit off. Place our lid on. And there we have our guacamole ready for the week. And then I also have it in the freezer ready for weeks ahead. I am so excited.
Now that they're frozen, you can remove from your Super Cube container, or you can use your Super Cube container and pop them out as needed. I like to take them out and place them into a freezer safe container like a stasher bag. You can also use a vacuum sealer and save these for a bit longer. We will probably finish this within 3 weeks, so I am popping those out so I can make more. I am always making them. I love to have this in the freezer. It's a great way to meal prep for my breakfast. It's perfect. It's money saving and I really love the flavor and it's super fresh and I have controlled all the ingredients. I could have made this spicy if I wanted. I could have just left it plain too. So there's a lot of different ways you can do this.
So I have my skillet warming up. I'm just gonna add a tiny bit of oil because I actually used it for steaks last night and I just wanna make sure it's nicely seasoned. Then I just take a piece of paper towel and just spread that all around. I'm gonna add a little bit of butter still because I like to cook my eggs in butter, but you can use oil if you prefer. I'm making 4 eggs for me and my husband. We do 1 toast with 4 eggs and then we add berries and stuff. So I'm gonna drop 4 eggs in and switch. Perfect. And you want your pan to be hot so you can flip them and they kind of release. Just wash my hands. Flip one, flip two, flip three. That one on the edge wasn't quite ready, so I'll flip that after. Probably don't have the pan aligned correctly.
So I typically like to take these out of the freezer the night before or a few hours before. I took these out 2 days prior. I just wanted to see how brown they would get, and they really hold up nicely. I love how easily they spread on toast, and then I just top it with my fried egg, or you could just use them as dip. But if you were going to use them as dip, I kind of recommend using a bigger portion. Then I like to sprinkle it with a little salt, or you can top it as desired. Take a bite and really enjoy. It is so delicious. My son doesn't like fried eggs, so what I will do for him is I will make him a scrambled egg and just kind of let it be one piece, kind of like an omelet.
I'm gonna take a bite now. I know it's gonna be delicious. This is a regular breakfast for me. My kids love it, my husband loves it. It's just super delicious, and it's very filling, and it's good healthy fats. Now, if you don't like it over easy or bullseye or like this, my son likes it with scrambled eggs, so that's another option. If you wanted, you can top this with things that you like a hot chili oil, hot honey. I know a lot of people like to add red pepper flakes, everything bagel seasoning. I just do a little simple salt. And then remember, the guacamole that we use underneath the spread has all those flavors that we added when we made it. I hope you guys enjoy this recipe. I will see you guys soon, and I want to thank you so much for watching. Bye, friends.